Washington Dulles International Airport just became the airport quietly winning America's airline war. In 2026, United Airlines is taking delivery of 36 brand new gates at IAD, the single largest gate expansion at any major U.S. airport this year, and every one of those gates is going to one airline. United already controls roughly 70% of all flights at Dulles. After this expansion, that number climbs even higher. While Newark sits trapped under FAA flight caps through October 2026, while Chicago O'Hare fights its own airlines over a $9 billion modernization mess, and while United CEO Scott Kirby publicly blames the FAA for breaking his New York hub, something completely different is happening in Northern Virginia. United is building its next fortress, and almost nobody in the aviation industry is paying attention. To understand what's happening, you have to understand how Dulles got here. For decades, Washington Dulles was the airport everybody in Washington avoided. It opened in 1962, designed by Eero Saarinen, with that iconic curved main terminal that still wins architecture awards. But the location was the problem. Dulles sits 26 miles from downtown Washington, almost an hour in car and traffic, with no direct rail connection until 2022. Federal workers, lobbyists, and business travelers preferred Reagan National. Reagan was 4 miles from the capital. Dulles was a destination you flew into reluctantly, not a hub you chose. That created a strange dynamic. Reagan National handled the political class, Baltimore-Washington International handled the leisure travelers and Southwest Airlines, Dulles was left as the international gateway nobody wanted to be at. United inherited the operation through its 2010 merger with Continental Airlines and kept it running because the international routes generated decent revenue, even if the airport itself was operationally challenging. Then a few things changed at the same time. The Silver Line Metro extension finally connected Dulles directly to downtown Washington in November 2022. The cost ranges between $6 to $12 by rail compared to a $50 to $80 cab fare, with reliable 50-minute trips that don't depend on traffic. Suddenly, Dulles was viable for business travelers who had been writing it off for 60 years. And right when that connectivity arrived, United started looking at every other hub it owned and realizing they all had problems. That's the context for what United is doing now. The expansion at Dulles isn't subtle. It's the largest infrastructure commitment United is making at any single airport in 2026. The Tier 2 concourse at Dulles is delivering about 14 new gates as part of a $675 million expansion. Beyond that, additional gate additions across Concourse C and other areas push United's new gate count at IAD to 36 for the year. That's more than the gate expansions Delta is getting at Salt Lake City and more than American is getting at any of its hubs combined.
The pricing tells you how serious this is. Each new gate costs roughly $46 million to build. Construction has been ongoing through 2024 and 2025, with new gates coming online progressively through 2026. Some are interim gates that will eventually be replaced as part of a longer-term Concourse E development. Others are permanent additions designed to handle widebody aircraft. United Airlines President Brett Hart spoke at the 2025 Dulles Day reception and said directly that Dulles is more important than ever to United. That's not corporate language, that's strategic positioning. To put this in context, when Delta builds 11 new gates at Salt Lake City, that benefits Delta, but it's roughly proportional to Salt Lake City's existing operation. United adding 36 new gates at Dulles is disproportionate to almost everything else happening in U.S. aviation. It signals that United is shifting capacity, growing flights, and treating Dulles as the cornerstone of its East Coast strategy in a way it has never done before. And that strategic shift becomes obvious when you look at what's happening at United's other hubs. Newark Liberty International is in operational crisis. The FAA imposed mandatory flight caps in May 2025, limiting combined arrivals and departures to 72 per hour, and those caps have been extended through October 2026. United voluntarily cut 35 daily flights from its Newark schedule, 10% of its entire operation, because air traffic control failures and radar outages made reliable operations impossible. The Philadelphia Tracon facility that manages Newark's airspace keeps suffering equipment problems. United CEO Scott Kirby has publicly blamed the FAA for years of underinvestment. The underlying reality is that Newark, United's traditional East Coast fortress, is operationally constrained by infrastructure United has no power to fix. Chicago O'Hare is a different kind of mess. The $8.5 billion ORD Next modernization program has slipped past every original deadline. Cost overruns have pushed it beyond $9 billion. United and American Airlines have been fighting publicly with the city of Chicago over gate allocations, cost sharing, and timelines. The new global terminal that's supposed to anchor the entire program won't open before 2032. United is trapped at O'Hare, sharing infrastructure with its biggest domestic competitor, while paying for a renovation that may never deliver the operational improvements it promised. San Francisco is constrained by geography. United dominates SFO, but the airport itself is hemmed in by water, fog, and a runway configuration that limits how much growth is even possible. International recovery has been slower than every other major U.S. gateway. Tech industry travel patterns have changed permanently. SFO works for United, but it can't grow. Houston is performing well, with United's $2.6 billion Terminal B expansion delivering 40 new gates by end of 2026. That's a major investment, but Houston serves a specific role in United's network: the Latin America Gateway, the Energy Corridor Business Hub, the Texas Premium Market. It's not designed to absorb all of United's growth. That leaves Dulles, and Dulles has every advantage United needs right now.
Open airspace, no FAA flight caps, no radar facility 85 miles away suffering from equipment failures. The Washington Air Route Traffic Control Center in Leesburg, Virginia, handles Dulles airspace efficiently because it has the staffing and infrastructure that Newark's controlling facility doesn't. Operational reliability at Dulles is among the best of any major U.S. hub, and United is the primary beneficiary. Geographic position works perfectly for United's network. Dulles is the natural East Coast complement to United's Pacific Gateway at San Francisco and its Latin America Gateway at Houston. From Dulles, United operates nonstop service to over 50 international destinations, including major hubs across Europe, the Middle East, Africa, and Asia. The airport handled 27.6 million passengers in 2024 and is projected to surpass that in 2025, with international growth driving the increase. The federal government angle adds something no other hub can offer. Washington is the world's most important political capital. International business travelers, diplomats, federal contractors, and policy professionals fly in and out of Dulles daily. Premium revenue per passenger at Dulles is structurally higher than at most other U.S. airports because the passenger mix skews heavily toward business and government travel. United's Polaris business class and premium economy products generate strong yields on routes from IAD that simply aren't available elsewhere in the network. The Silver Line Metro changes everything for leisure and connecting market. Travelers who once avoided Dulles now use it because they can take a train from downtown DC, from Reston, from Tyson's Corner directly to the airport in under an hour. Connecting traffic from southern Maryland, northern Virginia, and even parts of West Virginia now feeds Dulles through a transit network that didn't exist 3 years ago. And critically, Dulles has room to grow. The airport sits on more than 11,000 acres. There's land for additional concourses, expanded cargo facilities, and new infrastructure. Unlike LAX boxed in by the Pacific Ocean, or Newark squeezed between residential neighborhoods, or O'Hare constrained by Chicago's geography, Dulles has the physical space to accommodate decades of expansion. This is what United sees. Every other hub it operates has a structural ceiling. Dulles has a runway. The 36 new gates aren't just a capacity expansion, they reshape competitive dynamics across the East Coast. For Reagan National, the impact is immediate. DCA is slot controlled by federal regulation, capping the airport at a fixed number of daily operations regardless of demand. American Airlines dominates DCA, but American can't grow there because the slots aren't available. As United pulls more passengers through Dulles with new routes, better connectivity, and expanded gate capacity, the natural choice for many Washington area travelers shifts from DCA to IAD, especially for international travel, where DCA simply can't compete.
For Baltimore-Washington International, the impact is gradual but real. BWI has been Southwest Airlines' largest hub by passenger count for years.
As Dulles becomes more accessible via metro, and as United adds frequencies, business travelers and connecting passengers who once defaulted to BWI for cost reasons start considering Dulles instead. Southwest's identity crisis, assigned seats, premium cabins, baggage fees, only accelerates this shift since Southwest's price advantage is shrinking just as Dulles becomes more convenient. For American Airlines, the strategic implications are larger. American operates a hub at Philadelphia that handles much of its East Coast international traffic. As United builds Dulles into a true international fortress, the competitive pressure on Philadelphia increases. American can't match United's Dulles network because American doesn't have the gate capacity in Washington and can't get federal slot reform at Reagan. American's Charlotte and Miami hubs continue to perform, but its mid-Atlantic position weakens. For Delta, the impact is most subtle but most important. Delta operates a meaningful presence at Reagan National and serves Dulles with limited frequencies. As United builds Dulles into the premier East Coast international gateway, Delta's only response is to deepen its New York and Boston operations, both of which are already under strain. Delta has effectively conceded the Washington premium market to United through this expansion. The merger conversation that's been quietly happening between United and American adds another dimension. If any version of consolidation occurs, even partial route or asset sharing, Dulles becomes the natural integration point because it has the gate capacity to absorb additional operations without triggering the slot constraints that limit Newark, Reagan, and JFK. What happens next at Dulles defines United's strategy for the next decade. The 36 new gates come online progressively through 2026 and into 2027, with full integration into United's hub-and-spoke operation by late 2027. New international routes are already being announced. United has expanded service to additional European destinations, added frequencies on existing transatlantic routes, and is positioning Dulles as the launching point for new long-haul flights as Boeing 787 and Airbus A350 deliveries arrive. The longer-term vision involves a new Concourse E that would replace some of the interim infrastructure being built now. That project is still in planning stages, but represents the next major capital commitment after the current expansion completes. By the early 2030s, Dulles will look fundamentally different than it does today. More gates, more international destinations, more passengers, and dramatically more important to United's overall network than any other hub except Houston. Against all logic, the airport that Washington has spent 60 years avoiding is about to become United Airlines' most important strategic asset on the East Coast. Newark will remain operationally important, but capacity constrained. Chicago will keep generating revenue, but won't grow. San Francisco will hold its Pacific role, but can't expand. Houston will dominate Latin America, and Dulles, the airport nobody saw coming, will quietly become the fortress that defines United's future. By the time the rest of the aviation industry acknowledges what's happening, United will have already won the war for Washington and shifted the balance of power across America's East Coast aviation network. 36 gates, one airline, one airport that everybody underestimated. That's how fortresses get built.